This podcast contains explicit content.
Hardly Focused
presents.
I think
the Acc and Jack Show.
Acc.
I told myself, Mario, take it easy.
Jack.
Well, that's just fucking doodle dandy.
You are listening to the Acc and Jack Show.
The balance beam.
Tom Pritchard. How we doing? Hi there, Tom Pritchard.
Hoping to get your John Hancock on there.
Hey, welcome to the Acc and Jack Show. Chris Acciardi, Jack Gill. You can get us at accandjack.com. That is accandjack.com. Acc, good to see you.
Good, and you?
Not so bad.
Man, I was so psyched and ready to go, and then you didn't do the usual line.
I was thinking about that earlier today. As I was mentally preparing to record this episode and thought about all the times that we attempt to do the Letterkenny and decided, you know what, I'm not going to do it today, and I guarantee you it's going to be the one time Acc gets it right.
Wayne, how are you? Not so bad. Good, and you? Not bad. Hold on. Wait. We ain't got time for the pleasantries, all right?
You just have to go full McMurray and just be like, just cover all your bases.
Yeah.
Well, what an age we live in now where Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen are officially divorced and Elon Musk owns Twitter.
Wow. Well, at least something's never changed. Kanye West still is representing Adidas.
Do you think he's going to run for president?
He already did. I don't see why he wouldn't again.
Yeah, because like jokingly a few years ago, maybe I would have said I voted for Kanye. In fact, before we started recording, we were talking about Abbott Elementary, the show Abbott Elementary, and there's a joke about the school's janitor who voted for Kanye, who is also teaching the kindergarten, and then they cut to a scene of him teaching the kids about the Illuminati.
Yeah,
but that's
oddly present.
Yeah, it's just one of those things you just don't joke about anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Once he actively threatened the entire Jewish population on Twitter, it stopped being funny pretty quickly.
I actually unfriended someone on Facebook yesterday who I think like we might have gone to high school with him, but he graduated several years before we did, and I don't really know him personally, but anyway, I unfriended him because he had commented on another post, and maybe in like TMZ or something, about Kanye and the CNN and a bunch of other outlets running this article yesterday about how sources close to Kanye revealed that he's obsessed with Hitler. Yeah. And has this admiration for Hitler. So this guy that I know, and his name's Matt, I don't give a fuck. Someone makes a comment about like Kanye basically like, oh, well, you know, if you really think about it, Kanye's right. And then Matt responds with basically like it's one of those like, tell me such and such without telling me.
Right.
Where he's like yeah, Kanye's been right all along, and you know the sheep are only going to follow, you know, what the mainstream media outlets report. I'm like, dude,
right?
There's no defense. There's no defending that.
Right. Oh, you only think kill all the Jews is problematic because you've been told to think that. Yeah, by people who have empathy, who taught me to have empathy. That's not a conspiracy.
Yeah, like if you're not disagreeing with Kanye, then you are on the same level as Hitler was. You are a neo-Nazi. I'm just going to say it. There's no defending it. There's no trying to come out and saying, well, Kanye actually meant, or, well, if you really look into it, like, no, when you go on Twitter and you post, I'm going sick, DEFCON 3 on all Jews.
Yeah.
There's no coming back from that.
Yeah. And I mean, I've read, what was it, some interview with him from several years ago where he described what is he, a bipolar disorder? like what it's like for him when he's not on his medication, and what he was describing is exactly how he's been behaving. Like he's basically said, like, when I'm not on my meds, I become very paranoid. I become convinced everyone is out to get me, and there are massive conspiracy theories at work to fuck up my life. And I know that that's not true, but you become so convinced of it that you can't be rationed out of it. And then, like a week ago, he goes on some rant about how his daughter was kidnapped and replaced by a crisis actor so that he wouldn't be able to attend her birthday party. Like, just weird, paranoid nonsense.
What the fuck?
Like, yeah. So, I mean, it is really sad. Like, on the one hand, fuck him. I'm glad he lost his gigs, and I hope he doesn't get any new ones. But if you can see, this is clearly the result of a severe, unchecked mental illness. I do have some amount of sympathy for him.
Yeah. Is it forgivable though? Like, oh, we know that you're suffering from bipolar disorder, that you're a paranoid schizophrenic, so you're absolved of all the anti-Semitic comments you've made.
No, I'd say clearly not. I think you generally probably don't want a paranoid schizophrenic representing your company. That just seems like poor business practices.
Yeah, see. Now here's the thing: I've never listened to Kanye.
Mm-hmm.
I've never liked Kanye. All right, like Kanye. Let's like go way back to Katrina, for example, where there was that televised fundraiser for the Katrina victims, and it's Mike Myers and Kanye, and Mike's reading off the script, and then Kanye just jumps in with George Bush don't care about black people. Like, all right, that's bad.
Yeah,
I get you're trying to make a statement, but not the time, not the place.
Right.
You were brought here for a reason, and this was not the reason. The Taylor Swift thing.
Yeah, like that became a huge joke, and it in hindsight, like at the time, yeah, it was pretty funny. It was a memeable format. I'm gonna let you finish, but blank was the best blank of all time. Whatever. I certainly made my share of jokes in that format, but like that level of extreme disrespect and disregard for a woman, like, should have been a big red flag to like all of society.
Right. And even when Beyonce's sitting there like, what in God's name are you doing?
Yep.
And then you know how I feel about Jay Leno. But then like the next day when he went on Leno's disastrous premiere episode of his show, and when Leno's like, I mean, what were you up there? What were you thinking? And Kanye like actually broke down in tears. That was all fake. He didn't. Yeah. Because like I know like Leno says, well, what would your mother think about? What would your mother say? Like, no, dude, it's all an act.
Yeah.
You're just feigning sympathy. You don't give a shit.
Yeah.
The SNL thing that he did a few years ago. Do you remember that when he was the musical guest on SNL?
I don't think so. I mean, I'll probably remember when you tell me.
I think it was before the 2016 election, but he was wearing a MAGA hat, and at the end of the show, you know, I like the end credits of SNL, and the cast is up there, and they're all like just kind of waving to the crowd and hugging everybody. Kanye took the mic and like started like giving some off-cuff speech, just this rambling, incoherent mess, and wouldn't let anyone on stage leave.
Oh my God.
And
I don't remember that.
Yeah, and like it was partially aired while the credits are going, because typically it's just the band is playing and everyone's saying goodnight, and instead like Kanye usurped it, and not all of it made it to air. It went on for like 10 minutes before I think finally they cut his mic. But he's a mess. I never liked him. So the way I see it is all these companies like Adidas and his talent agency, all these entities, like they were looking for an excuse.
Yeah.
They've probably wanted to do this for a while, and they're finally doing it. And
I mean, I think it's been probably more well known in the biz then because as you mentioned earlier, like all like 4 different people familiar with him came out with reports that he like has been idolizing Hitler. He wanted to name his album that he ended up calling Ye Adolf Hitler. And I also just saw so we knew recently when he did his big Tucker Carlson interview that kind of sparked all this. The original interview that aired was mildly problematic, and then some disgruntled staffer at Fox News leaked the full unedited interview, which was wild. I think that's where he went off about like crisis actor kid replacing his own kid, and so that he wouldn't be allowed to see her, and like just totally bananas stuff that was edited out of the interview to make him seem more normal. And I just saw earlier today that a couple of people who were at the live taping of the David Letterman's My Next Guest Needs No Introduction.
You like the rock and roll music? All the kids do.
Did the exact same thing. Kanye apparently went on several really bizarre, misogynistic, and anti-Semitic rants that were then just cut out of the episode so that he would like, they didn't want to make him look bad. They just wanted to have it be like a normal interview.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like that's not a great thing to do. Like maybe, hey, this guy is spewing a lot of hateful stuff. Maybe we should make that known to the world. Like maybe we shouldn't cover that up for him.
Like I'm not an expert in this by any means. Like I'm only a doctor part-time, but these are the hallmarks of a schizophrenic.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people. These are like the derelicts that you see just on a street corner, just like rambling about how aliens are stealing their pockets from their pants.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it makes complete sense to them, but it doesn't. Like there's definitely, all whatever it is that they're thinking, there's just this tiny little door in their brain that is trying to go through, and it just gets shredded to pieces, and it just comes out as gibberish.
Yep. That's a really good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. CNN had this article. By the way, you said this. So I'm with you. I want to call it Ye.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds funnier as Ye. It's something that I tend to say instead of yes, because I'm too lazy for 3 letters. And I was really proud of myself with the prep sheet when I labeled the section controversy.
I didn't even notice that.
But I'm pretty sure it's Yay.
I mean, that makes more sense, right? Kanye, not Kanye. But I don't, this is the first time I've talked about this out loud. All I've ever seen is this written down. So I just see Y-E and my brain just pronounces it Ye regardless of the context.
Right. You know how I am too with individuals with whom I have no respect. And when we get to that point, when we get to that stage, then their names become something completely different. So
I'm well aware.
Like, okay, I understand that you want to go by Ye. Nah, fam, you're Ye. Be Ye. CNN.
I mean, I just thought he was trying to like become like an old medieval hear ye kind of figure.
I do like how quickly Wikipedia was updated to just say Ye. Born Kanye West.
Yeah.
CNN says several people who were once close to the artist formerly known as Kanye West.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're doing the full Prince thing here, I guess. The artist formerly. Whoever wrote this too, you can tell they were just really excited to say that.
Don't you hear this old school joint? Don't you ever touch my stereo.
Several people who were once close to the artist formerly known as Kanye West told CNN that he has long been fascinated by Adolf Hitler and once wanted to name an album after the Nazi leader.
Mm-hmm.
He would, quote, he would praise Hitler by saying how incredible it was that he was able to accumulate so much power, and would talk about all the great things he and the Nazi party achieved for the German people.
Yeah.
Like there again, if you're doing anything but condemn and admonish what Adolf Hitler did,
right,
you are automatically a neo-Nazi.
Yep.
Like there's
kind of definitionally.
Yeah. Even if like you think you're not doing it, you're doing it.
Right.
I had a professor in college who, like, he was like that in that he was trying to show off like how Hitler was like this. He was a powerful like speech giver.
Yeah.
You know, and like I can understand what he was trying to convey. Not the example you should be using.
Right.
Hitler could have been the only person out there who was very good at rallying crowds and giving speeches.
True.
I'm sure there are like, normal-minded politicians who in our country who are probably the same.
I'd like to think so.
I don't think that Hitler is the best example to be using in that case.
Right. Yeah. I mean, idolation of Hitler is generally a red flag. I mean, the same thing came out about Trump, right? But in the 2016 election, like people close to him said, "Hey, this guy is like fascinated with the life and times of Adolf Hitler." Like once you learn that about someone, maybe anything else they have to say should become a little bit suspect.
Yeah, agreed. I think the only entity that can kind of get away with this is the South Park people. Like, just one of my like favorite throwaway lines is when Cartman's mom, they're like, "Hey, can Cartman come out to play?" And he's like, "Oh no, Eric's still grounded for trying to have all the Jews exterminated."
Yeah.
So just CNN recaps it perfectly. What Ye has been doing lately. The revelation of West's alleged history of admiring Hitler comes amid a wave of inflammatory actions by West that began earlier this month. He wore a White Lives Matter shirt during his Yeezy fashion show in Paris on October 3rd, dressed several black models in clothing with the phrase, deemed a hate slogan by the Anti-Defamation League. He posted a private text conversation on Instagram between himself and Diddy, which he claims that Combs was quote, controlled by Jewish people.
Yeah.
He followed that with a tweet in which he said he would go, quote, DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, which is, there is no death con. There's DEFCON, but there's no DEFCON.
And isn't 3 actually the mildest one, and 1 is the most urgent?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm not actually familiar with my DEFCONs.
Yeah, I don't really know if when we've had actual DEFCONs to worry about in our life.
Yeah, DEFCON's like the mild is right in between. Mm-hmm. Increase in force readiness above that required for normal readiness. And the readiness being Air Force ready to mobilize in 15 minutes. Oh, you want to know what the exercise term is?
What?
Roundhouse.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's so they all have exercise terms here. Okay, here we go. So DEFCON 5 is the mild one.
Gotcha.
Okay, and that one is fade out. DEFCON 4 is double take. I can imagine how the exchange goes. Like, folks, we're at DEFCON 4. Whoa, what?
DEFCON 3 is spitting out your glass of water on someone.
DEFCON 3 is roundhouse. DEFCON 2 is fast pace.
Ooh.
Next step to nuclear war. And in DEFCON 1, where nuclear war is imminent or has already begun, cocked pistol.
Cool. Well, the last words humankind will say is cock, and then we die.
Yep. Instances of DEFCON 2 or 3. DEFCON 2 is the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Persian Gulf War. DEFCON 3, the Yom Kippur War, Operation Paul Bunyan, and then the September 11th attacks.
Interesting.
And it was lowered to DEFCON 4 on September 14th.
Good to know. That is fascinating. And we're still at DEFCON 3, the Jews.
So I want to segue to Twitter at one point, but I do want to bring up the meeting that Kanye tried to have with Skechers.
Oh God, yeah.
Because Adidas fell apart. Like, okay, so you're going from Adidas to Skechers,
which, by the way, is a company run by Jewish people.
And I don't think he knew that.
Yeah, the president and his son are Jewish. And so they'll accept me through this controversy was probably not the best train of thought.
Do you think he even knew that their last names are Greenberg? Like that it even registered?
I thought their last name was Sketcher.
I saw something actually a few weeks ago. I had wanted to bring it up, and we never got to it, but it was a video of Kanye at a meeting with Adidas where he was meeting with these executives, and he just like takes his phone out and just starts showing them porn.
Oh my God.
Now that's something I would do. But I'm also not like a billionaire, like superstar celebrity with, you know, that unfortunately has a high degree of influence.
Between Donald Trump, Kanye West, and Elon Musk, I'm starting to think that being a aging billionaire man is basically the most pure form of immature adolescence.
Why do you say that? Because how old's Kanye? He's got to be in his 40s, right? Like,
yeah, true.
He's like 45. Okay, and Elon isn't Elon like 50?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's 51. Okay, so I guess they are like not anywhere close to Trump, but still aging.
Yeah. No, I just mean like there seems to be this common through line of them wanting to be like stand-up comics. I don't know if this is going to be a hard train of thought to follow, but I feel like all three of them really, really want to be seen as like just like snappy, funny, witty. Like they want the cool kids, like the hip, young, you know, Gamergate level fascists to like, LOL, epic. They own the libs. Ha ha ha. But it just kind of comes off as like really deeply sad and starved for affection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the CNBC article here about Kanye showing up at the Skechers office. The Skechers statement. I like how they have to do this. You know, I love PR companies. Skechers USA Incorporated, the comfort technology company, trademark.
Yeah.
Stated Kanye West, also referred to as Ye, arrived unannounced and without invitation at one of Skechers' corporate offices in Los Angeles. Considered Ye was engaged in unauthorized filming, two Skechers executives escorted him and his party from the building after a brief conversation. I bet you Kanye showed up, it just started rambling about shit, and then started placing an order for food. Like the executive, whoever was leading him out, because they say executives, they don't say like security or anything. And I guarantee you, they were just like, "Okay, Mr. West, all right, sure, Mr. West, yes, everyone's out to get you."
Well, you know, and it is kind of the how do you phrase it? If either I win or you lose kind of situations where if what you're claiming is that the Jews control everything and are silencing dissent, and I'm silenced for my dissent, you've just proved me right that the Jews control everything. So I think that's why he went there, like with cameras and with the intent to film this stuff, is there's this desire, you see it a lot among like high profile right-wing trolls, to like be seen being persecuted. And it's like, sir, you're not being persecuted. This isn't a First Amendment issue. You're just very loudly being an asshole, and we're asking you to stop talking. Like, you can't just come into any building you want and start screaming at people. That's not a First Amendment thing. We can tell you to leave. But they sort of wrap that into that whole, see, there's a big shadowy conspiracy. I'm being persecuted. My beliefs are being trod upon. If you don't toe the line, then the administration is going to crack down on you. And it's all just bullshit. They act out in a way that they know will cause people to retaliate because people don't like assholes. And then that's proof of the grand conspiracy.
Do you think when Kanye was confronted by the Skechers people, he was demanding he be called Mr. President?
Probably.
I love that so the whole statement mentions that he was removed, that they condemn his remarks. They don't tolerate anti-Semitism. And then the last sentence is, the company would again like to stress that West showed up unannounced and uninvited to scheduled corporate offices.
I don't think anyone would have a hard time believing that.
I don't think I have anything to prove.
Mm-hmm.
So now here for the misconception is that now that Elon owns Twitter, that he unbanned Kanye's Twitter account after officially becoming CEO or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Elon has said that's not the case. It was already unbanned. He literally just said it was like that when I got here.
Yeah.
Like it was already unbanned.
Yeah.
I think it was a temporary ban. It wasn't a permanent ban. It was just they restricted it for like 72 hours or whatever for like violating like a terms of service violation.
Yeah, he was banned for a while, and then the day he came back was when he posted his DEFCON 3 comment, which is, a great way to prove that it's a good thing you're not banned anymore.
Back when I had to do live support at WB, doing chat moderation for video games, like live service games, my favorite, like when you have the power to actually do like chat moderation and ban accounts and doing exactly like what ultimately happened to Kanye and his Twitter, when the ban is lifted and within seconds they immediately like do something else, violate some other thing, and immediately get banned again.
Yep.
I want nothing more to tell those people, you're stupid. I couldn't, but oh my God, did I want to.
Yep. Some people can't help it. It's how they're made.
I want to play this for you. So there's two high-level executives at Twitter were laid off like the second that Elon came in, but I think that might have already been in the cards. Like it might have already been planned.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention the severance packages that both these individuals got.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
One was like worth like $35 million or something. But just to stir the pot a bit, a couple of jabronis show up at Twitter's HQ.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
Claim that they're engineers that were laid off amid a larger wave of layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And the press was out there and they they were interviewed. So one of them, with the guy who gave his name is Ligma, is I couldn't find a version of the interview that was of good audio quality, because the problem is there were two guys and both of them were being interviewed by different groups simultaneously, so their responses are bleeding into one another.
Yeah, true.
So we got the other guy who I think he just gave his name is like Daniel or something.
I think it was Johnson and Ligma.
Nice. Daniel Balls. This is what he had to say.
How are you feeling?
Terrible. I feel really bad. I feel really shitty.
How are you let down?
My director came by in person and did it, which I did appreciate, but it was definitely, it was to a group of us.
How long have you worked at Twitter?
6 years.
And
like I mentioned, if you're paying attention to the background, Ligma is being interviewed as well.
Yeah, I can tell.
what's your opinion on Elon Musk in general and what he's doing here?
I mean, I own a Tesla, and I don't know how I'm going to make car payments now. Like, I generally respect Elon Musk. Obviously, some of the stuff he said lately is concerning to me. But, yeah, now I'm really worried. I'm really worried. It's really the culture shift. There's a lot of people that were leaders and, you know, things like diversity, equity, and inclusion. I know those people are going. It's going to be a different Twitter in a week.
Elon Musk has spoken a lot about making the platform more free speech, in his own words. What do you make of that? What do you think Twitter will look like?
I mean, if free speech is, you know, Nazis saying that, you know.
Did you hear that in the background?
No, what was in the back? I was too busy listening to the main guy.
You can hear in the background, Ligma. Do it back a little bit. All right, here we go.
What do you make of that? What do you think Twitter will look like?
I mean, if free speech is, you know, Nazis saying that, you know, trans women shouldn't, you know, use women's locker rooms, then awesome. I guess mission accomplished. We'll see. Listen, I got to touch base with my husband and wife. I got to get out of here, all right? Thank you, guys.
What's your name?
Sorry. Daniel. Thank you.
Your last name? What's your surname?
I love that at the end. I love this at the end.
I got to touch base with my husband and wife. I got to get out of here. All right.
Okay.
It almost could have almost been a legitimate thing, and he throws that in there, and I still think it went over their heads.
Yep.
But so that was going all day, and the thing that was confusing me because I saw the news about the engineers, the layoffs, and then I see Elon tweet, Ligma Johnson had it coming with an egg emoji and the wet emoji.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I'm like, Elon just doesn't give a fuck.
No,
and then I find out that it's just a couple trolls.
Yeah, but like one of the first things he tweeted was comedy is now unbanned on Twitter. And like I don't know if that guy was like being sincere in his beliefs or like trying to mock people who do think like this, but I do sincerely think when people like Elon say, "Oh, we're allowed to be funny again," that just means we're allowed to make our one joke again, which is trans people aren't real and should kill themselves.
Yeah.
Like
Quitter, man.
Yeah.
Like it's that's just the complaint that all these comedy is canceled, cancel culture's out of control, no one can take a joke anymore. Yeah, you're not making jokes. You're making unfunny statements about how you hate people who are different from you. Like, try being funny. Maybe you won't get canceled then, dumbass.
I gotta say, Twitter in the last couple of days, like once it was official that Elon was taking over, is just, I'd say like 40%, I'd say maybe like 20% just the normal shit.
Mm-hmm.
I also follow a lot of sports writers and a lot of sports people, even though, again, how I'm with sports, but just like the enjoyment of following that and seeing what they're bitching and complaining about. But I'd say like 40% people saying, I'm leaving and I'm never coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And then the others who are like fully embracing Elon coming on and like sort of facetiously like, oh, when hasn't gone to hell yet.
Yeah.
When's it happening? Jeff Tydrick has been very vocal about that. He's that guy that just like has amassed hundreds of thousands of followers just by ritually shitting on Trump and Republicans.
Yep.
Where all the dude has to do is just post hi and it gets retweeted like 2,000 times.
Yep.
I imagine having that power.
I know.
That freaking Eric Clapton lookalike.
Yeah, I'm mostly on Twitter out of masochism and self-hatred. So to me, I think the best case scenario here is Twitter explodes and Elon Musk goes bankrupt and they both die. That I think would be the best. Like if Twitter just doesn't exist anymore and then Elon Musk just isn't like a figure anymore. I think everybody wins.
I need to know whose account this is because it's a verified account. And the handle is the Alt Gamer.
Okay.
The ULTGMR. But their profile name is Donald J. Trump.
Okay.
They're using Trump's old profile photo. And thank you at Elon Musk. Feels great to be back. Hope all the haters and losers have missed me.
Yeah.
And not the first time I've seen this, but the first time I've seen a verified account do it.
Right. Oh, yeah. People are definitely going to fall for that, I'm sure.
Oh, wait. Hold on. So 40% people announcing that they're leaving. 40% of people just being belligerent about Elon taking over. 10% of the normal riffraff, and then 10% just bitches with tits. Case in point, I'm looking at Cara Delevingne right now with her tits out. Like, okay.
Cool.
There's nothing different than about where we were 2 days ago versus where we are now.
Like and subscribe, Daddy Elon.
Oh, and then Captain Wacky saying that big things are coming and like check back,
right.
all that shit. So,
yep. Great awakening. Yeah, fuck all of them. Yeah, I mean, I have no grand plans to delete my Twitter account. I don't think anything's really going to change. I mean, it's already kind of a hellhole, especially if you're there for politics Twitter like I am, which is 48% far right fascist Republicans who think all Democrats need to be lined up and shot. 48% far left socialist tankies who think all Democrats need to be lined up and shot. And then like the 12 people, myself included, who think Democrats are good and worth voting for. But so I'm basically there just to suffer. But
wow, fuck you, Acc.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone who's expecting massive fundamental changes, good or ill, I don't really see him coming.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do I know? I've been wrong before, almost exclusively.
Twitter, man.
All right. Let's do this. Let's take a break. Come back. And let's talk about Pelosi's husband.
Okay.
You want to talk about that?
Yes, I do.
And you also talk about the world's dirtiest man who passed away in a very hilarious and ironic fashion.
Oh, but enough about me.
Okay. We will return. Stick around.
You know what happens when you leave a pound of raw hamburger meat in a car in the summertime?
You are listening to Hardly Focused.
This podcast contains explicit content.
This is Hardly Focused.
Oh, Mike, do you have a fun story the first time you ever bought condoms?
No, because I literally went in and bought condoms.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's a brave man right there.
I was like, I'm going to have some sex. I'm buying condoms. Thank you very much.
You are listening to the Acc and Jack Show.
What's your frequency? Can it this show? Been so drained. I was pregnant, locked out, no, not up to speed. I thought I picked you, idiot stream. Tired of action from the outside of screen. I never understood the frequency. You won't expect to see
I'm playing this in honor of Paul Pelosi.
Now, before anyone gets mad at Just Jack, he did ask me before the show if it would be bad taste to play that. I said yes, but do it anyway.
So I had approval. I was given permission. So it's okay. And that being REM, What's the Frequency, Kenneth? Or Disputed. It could have been Gonif, What's the Frequency, which I think is like a Yiddish term.
Huh.
But that was what was yelled when Dan Rather had the shit beaten out of him by some random Kanye West-esque character,
Yeah.
schizophrenic guy back in the 80s. So REM wrote that song about him. And then that apparently happened again today. Kanye going after Pelosi's husband.
Uh-huh.
So,
Well, I mean, similarly insane right-wing crank conspiracy theorist.
oh, they actually arrested the guy already. Okay.
Yeah, he's in custody. And I mean, Paul is, he went into surgery. He had to have like his skull worked on. He was hit with a hammer. That'll fuck anyone up. But he is expected to make a full recovery.
Well, here I am being a upstanding citizen.
Well, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't have said it's okay if you were dead or anything, or
Right.
in a vegetative state. If he's going to be fine, then you can have a little levity about the situation. It's still fucking scary and terrible that it happened.
Doesn't this dude also have a lot of issues too? Not the attacker, but Paul Pelosi.
Yeah, he had a DUI recently. I think he's got alcohol problems.
Okay.
But I mean, the man is also like in his 80s, so
Right.
I don't
He's
know.
82. And isn't Pelosi herself? Isn't she also
yeah.
in her 80s?
Yeah,
She looks good for her 80s.
yeah.
All right. I don't know if you'll agree or disagree with me on this, Acc, but I was watching Colbert a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he had Pelosi on, and she has like the warmest little giggle Old lady giggle.
Yeah, I can see that.
I was like, I wasn't really paying attention to anything she was talking about, but like my ears perked up every time she laughed. Like
that's just cute.
It was
That's
almost
adorable.
human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd almost think that the people who think she's an evil, blood-drinking monster out to destroy America by bringing in 600 million illegal immigrants to rape our children at behest of the Jews weren't all entirely on the up and up.
All right, that's from Reuters. An intruder demanding to see U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi attacked her husband with a hammer during a break-in at the couple's San Francisco home early today, Friday. Paul Pelosi, 82, was taken to a San Francisco hospital where he underwent surgery to repair a skull fracture and severe injuries to his right arm and hands. Damn, he got fucked up.
Yeah.
Dave DePape? David? Kanye West.
It's pronounced yay.
Will be charged with attempted homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, elder abuse, burglary, that thing where you break into the house.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds.
Yep. And several other felony charges.
Yeah, I mean, his screaming, where's Nancy, sure makes it seem like if she had been there, she might very well be dead right now. Like that was the goal. Assassinate Nancy Pelosi, which I am deeply curious about like how this even managed to happen, because you'd think that the person currently third in line to be president of the United States would have pretty extensive security details.
Yeah, that's
Did this whack job just managed to sneak past them. Like, what the hell happened there?
You know what's really sad is the one thing I've seen people on both sides say today is exactly what you just said, including this guy.
Disappointed!
When Kevin Sorbo makes sense, then you know it's fucked up.
I forgot that's who that was. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
no secret
I don't know. It's true. It's too early. I don't want to go spinning any conspiracies of my own or anything. I mean, what we do know is the guy's social media page looked like the social media page of just about every other guy who is either arrested before, during, or after some sort of mass killing event. Lots of, I love Donald Trump. The 2020 election was stolen. COVID is a conspiracy concocted by the Jews to control us, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing surprising there whatsoever. I'm just curious how he managed to get so close to what he did.
Internet.
Yeah, I mean, like,
that information has to be on there somewhere.
No, I mean, I get that. Like, I'm sure people know where she lives, but you just like, when I say I don't want to spread conspiracy theories, this is based on nothing, but it sure seems as if maybe some officers of the law who were responsible for protecting Nancy were sympathetic to the plight of the guy who wanted to murder her.
Yeah.
I think law enforcement is generally inclined to buy into the same level of conspiracy theory. The Democrats are all, they eat babies, they drink blood, they want to destroy the country, et cetera, et cetera.
Do you remember a few years ago, there was the guy from Florida who was sending like malfunctioning pipe bombs?
Of course, yeah.
Politicians. Was Pelosi one of the recipients?
I'm almost positive, yeah.
Okay. So this dude today got much farther than that guy ever did.
Yeah.
All he had to do was show up.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean,
weird that, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Weird that she has literally no protection.
Yeah.
And you just go right in.
And I mean, I think this kind of thing is going to continue happening and happen in greater numbers. I think now I'm going to be the wishy-washy centrist in here and say, yeah, there are psychos on both sides of the political persuasion, on all sides, on all ends of the spectrum. You're going to find your weirdo guillotine meme spewing leftists and liberals who, like that shooter who shot up the congressional baseball game. He shot Republican Congressman Steve Scalise.
Yeah.
But I think a key difference in why you tend to see so many more of these attacks come from the far right is because most of the current crop of ideological thought leaders on the right now, such as Donald Trump and Kanye West, love it. They encourage it. They give the most vague of, no, this is terrible. No violence. No. And then as soon as they have the first off the cuff chance, they start going, this is hilarious and great. And boy, wouldn't it have been just so funny if Nancy Pelosi got her head caved in with a hammer. It's completely different. You say what you will about Joe Biden. The man has basic human empathy. The man understands that human beings are capable of feeling pain, and that inflicting pain is generally not desirable. And I think most of the leadership of the Democratic Party and the ideological left understand that, whereas the current conservative movement in America is just entirely morally bankrupt in that regard. So you just see nothing but jokes and goading them on and encouraging this kind of behavior. And yeah, it's really scary because it's going to keep happening. And I guarantee between now and the 2024 election, we're going to see a major attempted or successful assassination of major Democratic leaders.
Didn't Trump, too, during the Capitol riots, didn't he call the insurrectionists good people or like wonderful people or something?
Yeah, I mean, we played a few weeks ago from the January 6th committee on this show, the clips of when he was recording his disavowal for a script that Ivanka wrote him, and he kept saying during it, no, I'm not saying that, because the script called for him to say, like, they will face justice, they will be brought to, they will be arrested and brought before the courts to face justice, and he didn't want to say that. That's telling. That's worth noting.
There's a part of this Reuters article here that's really interesting. So CNN reported that Paul Pelosi had called emergency 911 in spoken quote-unquote code, not saying directly that he was under attack, but leading the dispatcher to the conclusion that something was wrong. Mm-hmm. So either it was really good at like beating around the bush and getting her to understand or getting them to understand. Mm-hmm. Here I'm generalizing, just assuming all dispatchers are female. But
I've watched 911 on Fox.
Lone Star, to be specific. Somehow there's spinoffs. But anyway, beating around the bush, implying, finally get to the point like, okay, this guy's not fucking around. Something's going on. Or because this happened on the West Wing, where whatever the hospital is, it's right near the White House. Like, they're trained for these things, and they're also, everything is in code there.
Yeah, I believe it.
The hospital staff, like, they go through drills for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And because they obviously don't want to call immediate attention to what's happening. And I don't know if it's like, if someone is high profile as Nancy Pelosi lives in the area, then are you all instructed on like, hey, blind pigeon just flew into my window. Like that means like, hey, someone just got shot and they're coming.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe he just said, I'm fine, nothing is wrong. But then he said wink, wink several times.
Mr. Burns can't see you winking through the phone, Homer. He's just like, I'm fine. How are you? How's your day going?
Just calling a checkup. By the way, got a bit of a nasty head cave in going on right now.
There's a whole run book where if this individual calls and they just start asking you questions about your day and exchanging pleasantries, then you dispatch every officer in the area immediately.
I mean, I wouldn't. I imagine if you're a 911 receptionist, your or operator, whatever it's called, regardless of where you're stationed, regardless of if there's any high profile people around, you probably got to expect there are going to be situations where someone's going to try to call you and ask for help very discreetly.
Right. It's in a run book that if they call and they start like placing a pizza order, that's when the APB goes out.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting to think about.
Yeah, I saw on Reddit. So you mentioned Scalise earlier, and then there's that, and then the last big one I think that happened was Gabby Giffords, and she's, I mean, alive.
Yeah,
she survived, but that was
that's very true.
Like,
But-
what other high-profile assassination attempts have there been in the last decade?
I mean, there are definitely attempts. I just don't think they ever get very far. People are frequent. Like, I do see frequent articles like, 3 men with ties to Proud Boys found with 78 assault rifles in their apartment with detailed plans to take out. So there was the plan specifically to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan, from a few years ago that I think the Proud Boys were behind.
They just got convicted, I think, yesterday too.
Yeah, very recently. And then, I mean, while there will be disagreement on this point, I would say it's fair to consider January 6th is an assassination attempt.
Oh,
They didn't find any Congress people, but I mean, you think these people, if they ran into Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they would just say hi and be on their way? The people who think that she is the epitome of all ills in the country, whose death would hasten the salvation of our great nation. I think, I think absolutely, if they had run into any Democratic politicians or congressmen, they would have fucking died or been attacked or whatever.
So obviously the last president who was assassinated was JFK.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had Reagan, who...
Yeah, he had an assassination attempt.
Yeah, and that dude, Hinckley, he was doing it to impress Jodie Foster.
Yep.
That was his whole thing.
Yeah.
Remember at my wedding when we were all out in the parking lot and then Kate and her family showed up and like we were doing the whole like, oh, we're not going to see each other before the ceremony, but because they were there, and then everyone all of a sudden got pissed at me because I just happened to be standing what was effectively the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yes.
And I got then tackled by everybody to be escorted to I think a dumpster. The dumpster in the parking lot, the far end of the parking lot, was the only place that we could go where I'd be like out of sight. I really felt like Ronald Reagan then.
Bro, you know what I just remembered that is so freaky? It just made me say bro unironically.
What, that I was married?
Well, yes. At your wedding, literally the last thing I said to you before the ceremony started, the last thing we talked about, it was when Kanye had just had an appearance on Ellen and was fucking weird on it. And we were watching the video clip of Kanye on my phone. And then when it ended, you like patted me on the back and said, all right, let's go get me married. and like, that's just weird that you brought up your wedding. And now I'm remembering, oh yeah, the last thing we did before it started was watch that Kanye video of him like having a meltdown on Ellen.
It all comes full circle. That was that was an omen right there. Wow, you pulled that one out of a satchel.
Yeah, I had completely forgotten it until just now.
Wow. Okay. Trump. I'm looking at a Wikipedia article that was supplied to me. Thank you. For presidential assassination, assassinations, attempts, and plots. And kind of surprising, Trump only had 2 like high profile ones against him.
I remember, I don't know if this one's counted because it was when he was still a candidate, but I remember one during the election, someone with a gun tried to get into one of his rallies and was turned away.
Yeah. Now I tried to look for this myself, and now like I'm probably going to get a knock at the door within the next hour. But there is some statistic out there of how many of these, threats are made per day at the White House, and how many people like actually, try to scale the building. Like these things happen on a daily basis. It's just like you don't hear about them because they're. We were talking about DEFCONs earlier. They're all DEFCON 5s.
Yeah, exactly. Most like these things do happen, but the vast majority of them are stopped before they get off the ground.
I wonder if they still call them crashes, because there's a whole
like White House crashing.
Well, there's a whole West Wing episode. In fact, it's the September 11th episode the one that they filmed in like literally in the course of a week after 9/11. It's about the White House. I think they call it a crash, and it's when they go into lockdown.
Okay.
And I guess it's just when you have to do this, like, what is the extent of the lockdown? How serious is it? How much of the White House do you have to lock down? Is it just the West Wing? Is it the entire building? Like, do you have to lock down the whole neighborhood? Like, what do you do? But no, there's got to be. Oh, well, here we go. List of why don't I just look for this list of White House security breaches?
Okay, yeah, that
and
makes sense.
What I searched for before is going to get me thrown in jail, probably.
How to break into White House.
Oh, I remember this one. August 24th, 1814. Here we go. Onto the grounds. Okay. The last ones that they have here all happened in 2017. So either we're just not updating these articles anymore, or literally nothing has happened in 5 years. I refuse to believe that.
COVID affected everyone, including would-be assassins.
Yeah. August 10th, 2020, Myron Berryman, a 51-year-old man from Maryland, was shot by a Secret Service officer near 17th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue, a few blocks away from the White House, after telling the officer he was armed, and ran towards the officer with his hand in his pocket.
Was that I don't know exactly where this was, but wasn't there a guy who tried to go after Kavanaugh recently too? But like, he did go through with it. He literally like found a nearby police officer and said, "I have a gun and I'm worried I might be about to assassinate Supreme Justice Kavanaugh."
How are you worried about that? You're either doing it or you're not doing it.
Yeah, well, I think he wanted to, and then had to realize, like, oh, this would actually be really horrible. I don't want to go through with this, and turned himself in. But like, I mean, if it were me, I would just go home. I would just not do it. I don't know. Whatever. This guy had more integrity than me.
I mean, this is a quick and easy way to, like, I guess, like, suicide by cop, suicide by Secret Service agent, right?
Right.
Like, rush at him with a gun. If you live, then you're probably not going to want to live.
Right.
Throw in jail for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
From a listener, 12% of our presidents have been shot at.
That seems surprisingly low. Were most of them pre-gun? Like most of our presidents? No, that doesn't follow. Never mind.
There's a lot of effort with this, loading the muskets.
Yeah, true. It's like that great Jim Jeffries bit. I'm fine with the Second Amendment if it's about muskets. They give you a lot of time to calm down.
Were you there when Filler showed us the I think it was like a gun control ad, but or like a PSA or something, but it's like a dude like walks into like his office, like, disgruntled employee, and then pulls out a musket and fires it, and like he doesn't hit anybody because the musket's range is like, a centimeter in front of you.
Yeah.
And then he's like painstakingly trying to load the thing after because of that whole process.
Yep.
That was like unintentionally funny. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time.
No, it sounds like it was probably intentionally funny, but I mean, yeah, it's a good argument if you ask me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I'm sure every single one, except maybe that guy who died of pneumonia in 30 days, have had assassination attempts. It's probably just the minority that have gotten close enough to fire a shot at them.
Did The Simpsons also teach you about that? About William Henry Harrison?
I don't remember where I learned it. I've known it for a very long time.
The Forgotten Presidents song? That's how I
No,
learned it.
I don't remember that.
The Mediocre Presidents. Here it is.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a wonderful evening of theater and picking up after yourselves. We begin with a tribute to our lesser-known presidents.
We are the mediocre presidents. You won't find our faces on dollars or on cents. There's Taylor, there's Tyler, there's Fillmore, and there's Hayes. There's William Henry Harrison.
I died in 30 days.
We are the adequate, forgettable, occasionally regrettable, caretaker presidents of the U.S.A.
Nice.
And if you're in the UK, you can add Lose Trust to that list. Someone who probably won't be doing this anytime soon because he's dead, who won't be trying to assassinate any political figures, the world's dirtiest man.
Yes.
The world's dirtiest man dies in Iran at 94, a few months after his first wash.
Ooh, there's a lesson there. there is a lesson there, and let me tell you, I don't know what it is, but I think that might be because I'm getting faint from the fumes of my own body odor.
Dude, so like lately I've just been lazy, and I've been like going days without showering. I showered today, showered yesterday, but over the last few weeks, there's been a few instances where I'm like, hey, I got more important things to do.
Yeah.
And when it gets to the point when you can smell yourself, you shouldn't be able to smell yourself.
For me, the bad sign is when I start getting flaky. Like I'll be like, oh, my cheek is itchy, and I'll scratch it, and my just like dead skin flakes will come off in my hand.
Your whole face just starts coming off.
Oh, yeah, I need a shower.
Poltergeist style, your whole face just starts scratching, and you just start ripping chunks of it off.
Yep.
Until you expose the skull underneath.
Oh, yeah.
That scared the shit. Poltergeist is such a great film. And that scene, for some reason, there's no reason that scene should exist. But it does. And it just fucked me up for life. Until Family Guy made fun of it. And then it wasn't so bad. Because in the Family Guy version, Peter rips off his face, and then he's got Hank Hill's face underneath. And then he goes, propane. But anyway, from The Guardian. An Iranian hermit nicknamed the world's dirtiest man for not taking a shower for more than half a century has died at the healthy old age of 94.
Yeah. All that dirt kept him limber, I guess.
So they called him, I'm going to butcher this, Amu Haji, which is an endearing nickname for an elderly person. He died this past Sunday in the village of in the southern province of Fars. It's south of Raleigh. Haji, covered in soot and living in a cinder block shack, was reported by local media not to have bathed with water or soap for more than 60 years. Villagers said he had experienced, quote, emotional setbacks in his youth that led him to refuse to wash.
I saw a vision when I was a child that if I washed, I would die just a few months later.
They say if you don't use soap nor conditioner, you'll break your back and your mother's back. In 2014, the Tehran Times reported that Haji would eat roadkill, smoke a pipe filled with animal excrement. That's poop, don't you know? And believed that cleanliness would make him ill.
Well, sure.
Photos showed him smoking multiple cigarettes at once. Simpsons did that. He's ripping off the Simpsons at this point. I like this. I remember for years I would just say that, like, I would just ask people if they smoke shit. Like, really take like a turd and roll it into a joint and try to smoke it. This dude was doing it. He was actually doing it.
Wow.
But a few months ago, villagers had persuaded him to wash for the first time. After Haji's death, an unofficial record could go to an Indian man who had also not bathed for much of his life. Why is it always in this part of the world?
Yeah.
Why is it always in this part?
Well, because they've got so many people there, so they've got a lot of people like that there.
Article also mentions that there's another guy here who he doesn't bathe with water, he bathes with fire. He says, oh, here we go. I guarantee you this guy has his PhD. It's just like using water to take a bath. Fire bath helps kill all the germs and infections in the body.
Interesting. I'm looking up. So there's a character in one of my favorite Terry Pratchett books, Going Postal, an old man named Grote. And one of the running gags throughout it is he doesn't trust doctors or basic rules of hygiene. So he just makes his own rules for how to keep himself clean and healthy. And on the Discworld wiki, it says He brews his own medicine and has his own cures to keep himself in good condition. Ironically, several years worth of an application of bread pudding and goose grease to his chest actually does save his life when attacked by a wild banshee. His trousers permeate as they are filled with charcoal, nitrous, and sulfur to keep diseases at bay.
Wow.
We're the only known subject of a controlled detonation in a medical environment.
See, this dude was just reminding me of a Shel Silverstein poem. It's called The Dirtiest Man in the World. Oh, I'm Dirty Dan, the world's dirtiest man. I've never taken a shower. I can't see my shirt. It's so covered with dirt. And my ears have enough to grow flowers. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that immediately came to
Good
mind.
old Silverstein.
Yeah, Shel Silverstein was a scribe. That man was a bard.
Yep.
They used to ban that shit in school. It was banned in our schools, right? Like,
yeah, well, eventually. Now, because I remember we got to, I read it a lot like in the earlier grades, but then once we got to middle school and they started doing poetry, like readings and analysis, they started saying like, you're not allowed to do Shel Silverstein because that's for babies.
Come on with that shit. That man, it was like they were like, oh, you can't do this. You can't read Garfield. You can't read Calvin and Hobbes. I'm like, look, all the great social commentary is coming out of these.
Yeah.
But we could still read. We could still read like Fahrenheit 451 though. They didn't have a problem with that then, or Catcher in the Rye.
Mm-hmm.
Those
well,
now.
Plenty of people have a problem with Catcher in the Rye.
Right. Yeah, during God, I wish we didn't have to do this. But back in middle school when you had those stupid poetry recital things where like it started off with us just doing it in the classroom, but if we did it well enough, then like we'd have to do it in front of the whole school.
Oh yeah. And
then if we did it well enough there, then it turned into like a district-wide thing, and then a statewide thing. Like you could go to nationals by reciting poetry.
You are preaching to the choir, buddy. I hate it. I'm sorry. Finish your story first.
Oh, I would sabotage it. I would sabotage myself. And I remember Tom, his last name rhymes with Beauregard because that was his last name.
Right.
His poem that he chose was "The Devil Went Down to Georgia."
Mm-hmm.
Now you could pick songs, but you couldn't sing them. And I would pick songs and I would immediately sing them and then be disqualified immediately. They'd be like, "Oh, you're disqualified." I'm like, "Oh, gee, oh no, my day's ruined." Do his bullshit. But Tom was good at reciting the song without singing it. And he got pretty far. I think they were actually going to send him somewhere. And then he just decided one day, I have diabetes. I don't have time for this shit. Mm-hmm. So he just sang it one day and then got disqualified and was like admonished for it. He was like, you got to stop doing this. Like, you're putting us against our will here. We should have a say whether or not we want to have to travel halfway across the country to recite poetry.
Yeah, exactly.
In some freaking convention center.
You're acting like it's a reward for us, but not necessarily.
Yeah. So, what were you gonna vent about?
Oh, one of my most mortifying memories. I was recently bonding with my cousin Richard about this.
Paul?
Yes. Because he was praising me for being like an intense fan of Radiohead from a very young age. Because he was like, I remember you used to try to get me to listen to Radiohead when we were like 10, and I didn't fucking get it. And now I really get it. Like now I get that they're really good. I'm amazed that you liked them so much when you were that young. And I said, well, let me tell you a sad tale. And I told him about the poetry reading thing. I decided to read Radiohead's Climbing Up the Walls from OK Computer, which good song. I liked it a lot more then than I do now, mostly because of this memory being associated with it. Extremely edgy lyrics. This was my I'm 14 and this is deep phase. My I'm so misunderstood. I'm an angsty little twat phase of my life. And I got to the stage of reading in front of the entire school.
Oh, no.
And I think it was while I was sitting in front of the entire school waiting for my chance to read that it suddenly hit me. These lyrics are extremely cringy out of context. Like, again, good song, but I really regret reading them. And I still, every single time I'm ever like, OK Computer is a great album, I'm going to listen to it. I get to that song and I go,
oh, like this? See, people are stupid because this is a masterpiece of an album.
It's but like now imagine barely pubescent Acc with pre-speech therapy. So my lisp was atrocious, up on stage trying to be emotional and meaningful. 15 days to the back of your head. 15 days to the back of your mind. And just like a little pee stain starts spreading from the front of my pants. It was just horrible. It was atrocious. It's the worst memory of my fucking life. Sometimes I wonder, why do I have severe self-esteem issues? And then I remember that and I go, oh yeah, they're well deserved.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
No, you absolutely should be laughing. It was a terrible moment in my life.
Your impression of yourself, of young Acc, was like your impression of my impression of you. The cover of OK Computer, by the way, is the Interstate 84 interchange in Hartford, Connecticut. Don't you know?
I didn't know that. That wasn't interesting, but thanks for telling me.
That was revealed only a few years ago.
Wow.
Around the 20th anniversary of the album's release. Someone finally uncovered where the highway was on this on the album cover. And then I guess, and I've never done this, but I guess if you listen to OK Computer and In Rainbows in a certain order, it forms a cohesive album.
So I have a playlist with that, like the way that it's allegedly supposed to be done. I can't really tell. Like, it doesn't, like, the article I was reading about, it says like it'll blow your mind how perfectly the songs blend into each other. I guess like a little. It didn't really blow my mind. It's whatever.
Yeah, I guess. Now, did you make the playlist based off of like the suggested playlist?
Yeah. It's
I'm looking at it right now
because OK Computer is 12 songs and In Rainbow is 10, so it's split in half with it goes OK Computers, In Rainbows, OK In Rainbows until you get to song 6 on OK Computer, and then you do song 7 of OK Computer right after it, and then resume going back and forth.
Okay.
And I mean, I love both albums, so I listen to that playlist sometimes just because I like both of them. But like, I don't think they blend into each other any more noticeably than they do on their own albums.
Yeah, like Airbag and the 15 Step and the Paranoid Android and the Body Snatchers. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do this myself. I've known about this for a long time, and I've never sat down and did it. But.
Yeah, I was so hyped when I learned about that. I immediately made the playlist, and then I was like, whatever.
Now, did you pay money for In Rainbows?
I don't remember.
Because that was
probably that was one of those ones you can pay whatever you want, including nothing. Right.
I think that was the first like high profile instance of pay what you want.
Yeah, I probably did because I've always, been relatively well off, and I'm one of those guys. I like to if a service is pay a lot or a little, it's up to you. I try to be generous just on the grounds that someone else out there probably can't afford to be. So I want to kind of balance that out because I'm fortunate enough to be able to.
I paid full price for it because it was like the day after it ended, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to do this. I'm going to punish myself by spending $15 on the album.
Yeah.
But you know what? Worth it though, because In Rainbows is, I think, the last great Radiohead album.
I agree. Yeah.
I found it very difficult to get into. Like a Moon-Shaped Pool, The King of Limbs.
Mm-hmm. King of Limbs, I think, has a couple of really, really fantastic songs. But I mostly just like I'll listen to those like 2 or 3 songs and then just like skip the rest of the album.
Yeah, I tried King of Limbs and I never finished it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I got all the way through it. Not like nothing's ever gonna beat like the Bends or OK Computer.
Yeah. And I just love how often like I'll be watching a really good piece of television and just an incredible moment will have Radiohead as the backdrop. Like I feel like 60% of all great TV moments with music in the background are somehow Radiohead songs.
Yep.
It's just so prevalent and it always works so well.
The Romeo plus Juliet from the 90s.
Yep.
The Baz Luhrmann one, that was laden with Radiohead.
Yep.
With talk show host and exit music was the end credits. Like that was Radiohead being Radiohead when they're like, hey, do you want to write the end credits theme for this film? So they literally called it exit music for a film.
Yep. What was it? Handmaid's Tale did an absolutely fantastic scene set to Street Spirit, Fade Out from the Bends. The Ozarks did a fantastic scene set to Daily Mail. Westworld has done, I think they've done multiple season ender scenes to Radiohead songs.
I believe it. I was watching something recently, or maybe I was even playing something. I can't remember, but Letdown from the Bends, I think it's the Bends, was playing, and I'm like,
Letdown is OK Computer.
OK Computer, yeah. But that was playing. I'm like, are you kidding?
Mm-hmm.
Of all tracks to pick.
Yeah.
I think that's one of their best, in my opinion.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, Westworld has done, I think they did Kodak from King of Limbs, and then Pyramid Song from Amnesiac was the most recent finale. And it's just like every one of these moments, like all different Radiohead songs, are like some of my absolute favorite moments from those TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like they don't miss. It's amazing.
Yeah, there are some things that like now I'm kind of biased when it comes to like a good song that defines a scene and a film.
Mm-hmm.
Because like especially if it's a song that I love or it's a band that I love, then I'm the type to be like, oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But it really depends on the context and it really depends on how it's used. But like I can see Radiohead absolutely just with their style of music being that way. Have you listened to The Smile? I feel like I've asked you this
you
before.
told me about them recently, and no, I have not.
Yeah, because they played, I think, at the House of Blues, and they sold out like immediately. And
that was it. Yeah, you told me they were playing there. Yeah,
it was either House of Blues or Roadrunner, but you should check them out because I would argue that the one album that they have is like the best that like it's not Radiohead, but it's the best stuff that Radiohead's done in like 15 years.
I will definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's just Tom and Johnny Greenwood. Who's Tom?
Cool.
Tom Skinner was in nothing I've heard of. Okay. But you've heard of the other guys, obviously. So, yes. All right. Very good. All right. We can end with that. Acc, as always, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. Good and you.
All right. For the rest of you, we will talk at you next time. There it is.
I need to go grab a shower. I look forward to you attending my funeral in the next few weeks.
Okay. Yeah, have fun with that. Wash your gooch, wash your grundle. All right, we will, now that my music is playing, thank you for listening. We'll talk at you next time. See you, bye.
Goodbye.
Assassination may not have happened.